So you're keen on property investing, however, you don't have endless pots of money in order to invest, and you want to know the best way to invest right now despite the current market. Well, then this video is for you. Good day, Samuel here from Impact Properties, the YouTube channel where you get creative property investing on demand. In this video, we're going to be talking about how you, yes you, can invest in property despite the existing climate and quite possibly even despite your own financial position also. Now, before we deep dive into the how, it's also very important to understand the what. So the question is, what is property investing? When we type the word invest into any smartphone dictionary, we should get the definition: to put money into financial schemes, shares, property, or a commercial venture with the expectation of achieving a profit. Now, to break this whole definition down would possibly take a whole masterclass. So let's focus on the critical parts here. Put money into property with the expectation of achieving a profit. Firstly, we can see the word money is in brackets, which means that it can be replaced by something else. Now that in and of itself, to break down, may also need its own video. Let us know in the comments if you want a video on that. Secondly, another point to note is that whatever we do put in has to be done in order to achieve a profit. With those two things in mind, we can summarize that property investing is putting something in within the field of property and achieving a profit. Now that we've summarized what property investing is, let's jump into the how. Now, property investing comes in very many different shapes and sizes. For most people, they follow very traditional routes. One being they buy a house, they rent their house out and make money from the rent on a monthly basis. For other people, that's buy a house, increase the value in some way, shape or form, and then go on to sell the property at a later date for a profit. Now, these two most traditional approaches require you to buy the property first, which as a direct result means an initial input of funds, which for many may be difficult or even a bit of a stretch. Now, let's do a quick example of what it looks like when it comes to the numbers specifically for buying an investment property within the UK. Typically, you'll be paying, as an investor, a 25% deposit and taking out a 75% mortgage in order to pay the 100% of the cost of an investment property in the UK. So say you buy a house for £100,000 within the UK. With a 25% deposit, you'll be paying roughly £25,000. Side by side with that, you'll be taking out a mortgage of 75% of that £100,000, which in this case would be £75,000. Many people forget to mention that there will be additional fees and tax in order for you to carry out this transaction. To understand some of the changes taking place in regards to tax, feel free to click this card right up here where we recently did a video all about that. So if we assume tax and fees are all inclusive at roughly £5,000 in this example, what we would basically be saying is that in order for you to buy a £100,000 property in the UK, your outlay would roughly be around £30,000. Now that £30,000 is made up of a £25,000 deposit and additional £5,000 in fees. Now, for many people just starting or finishing university or even working a traditional job, that £30,000 may not be accessible to them. Even worse, if you're based in the capital or in any other very expensive city, then you're probably aware that £30,000 may not even be scratching the surface of how much you need in order to start investing the traditional way. However, this channel is all about creative property investing, so let's look at some non-traditional ways to get you investing without the hefty sums of money up front. Now, if at this point of the video you're already getting value, feel free to hit the like button just to show your appreciation, and let's get deeper into the content. So throughout this video, I've used the term traditional for a very specific reason, and that's because the traditional way is non-creative and for many people locks them out of being able to use property as an accessible vehicle for investment. There are, however, several non-traditional ways to invest in property and achieve a profit. So let me share a key concept with you in order to help you understand all of this much better. In all of the examples before, we had to buy the property first, which is where the bulk of money is needed in order to invest. Well, one of the ways we creatively invest in property is by not buying a property first, but rather controlling that property for a period of time before buying it. If you can imagine taking control of a property for a 2-year period where that property is paying you a profit every single month without you even having to consider how you're going to buy the property, hopefully you can now see how this can start opening massive property doors for you. Pun intended. This concept is known as controlling property. Now, if this is the kind of content that you like, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can get this type of property content weekly. So now, let me show you some non-traditional routes that you can control property without buying them. Now, my hope is that you're going to use these routes so that you can invest this year and next year and every other year ahead without the constraints that may have stopped you in the past. The first one is property management, and this is simply where you manage a property for an existing landlord and you make a monthly revenue. The second is project management, and this is simply where you manage the property project of someone else who is time poor, and in return you are paid a profit. It should go without saying that each of these approaches will require you to educate yourself and be aware of the appropriate compliance and obviously steps that need to take place in order for these approaches to be executed successfully. Nonetheless, the cost of educating yourself will probably be considerably less than the £30,000 we spoke of earlier on in the previous examples. So let's do another quick example of how the numbers might work in one of these particular approaches. So let's say you find a family member who's having some trouble with one of their properties and you let them know that you can manage the property for them. Say the property is currently generating a £1,000 income every single month in terms of rent, and that specific landlord, family member, wants to be able to take £800 every single month in order to pay their current mortgage, let's say that's £500, and additionally in order to have a £300 profit each and every month. Now that leaves a £200 fee in order for you to charge for your monthly involvement in the management of the property. Now typically, if a landlord does want to use a property managing agent, they will generally be paying around 8 to 12% for that property management service depending on the agent. Now in this case, because you are charging £200, which works out as roughly 20% of the income, you're going to have to show that you've got a bit of value that you're adding to this process, a lot more than a typical estate agent. With the numbers shared in this basic example, you have now created a £200 a month revenue, which you've been able to get from the management control of this property without the large sums needed in order for you to own the property. So, even if you paid £5,000 in order to educate yourself and put yourself in the accurate position in order for you to take on this property opportunity, I'm sure you can see now how in 2 years' time you would have paid yourself back for that education in order for you to take full advantage of such property opportunities. And to be honest with you, you'd probably do that much faster if you decided to take on additional properties. In this video, we're just scratching the surface of what is possible when you use creative investing strategies to invest in property. I hope you found value in this video. I'm always interested in knowing what your thoughts are, so feel free to leave a comment below. If you want more property content and insights, then click on this video right here where you can go and see our weekly live show. Side by side with that, jump in the description below where we have a bunch of free resources which will help you move further, faster in your property investing journey. I'll see you on the next video. Happy investing.